My friend Patty Farmer,
And
who's a mover and shaker, was
it.
telling me about something called meetgeek.ai. And when she goes to a networking meeting or a referral meeting or a one-on-one meeting with anybody for any purpose, she brings her MeetGeek person to the call too. And MeetGeek uses AI to record, transcribe, and provide a bullet point summary of what was discussed. It also gives you access to the video. It also says who was on the call. So if you're in a Zoom room with lots and lots of people, it'll tell you who was in the Zoom room. And there's all these other capabilities around it. And I was thinking about it for my own purposes, of course, but I happen to have two clients that have broken arms. And
Oh,
and when you have broken arms, you're not able to type.
yeah.
These people have been really compromised in their ability to capture everything that's been happening. And I've been trying to look for the perfect solution. And so this Meet Geek thing sounds like a cool thing.
Oh yeah, it is cool. And there's another one through jasper.ai, and you can do your Zoom calls like this, and it will give you a summary of the call when you're finished, and it will email that summary to your client or the person that you were talking to.
And is that a fee thing or a free thing?
I believe that version is, because I think it's paid. And
Okay.
Chat GPT also has Chat GPT Pro, and you can get into things like that. But it's amazing what they're letting out into the world of us lay people that has been around for a while, and now it's just absolutely rocking
It,
the
it's
business
it's so exciting.
world.
So getting back to you, you did a live event. What was
Yeah,
it? Was it virtual or in person?
the live well, the event, yeah, the one was it doesn't really have a name other than our organization. It's the Milwaukee Women's Sailing Conference, and
Oh,
it's a one-day event with a dinner the night before and a breakfast the morning after. But it's about leadership. It's about working as a team. It's about how do you find crew. It's all of these business principles that are applied on a sailboat and what it takes to safely sail and safely maneuver a boat and people and personalities and being under a woman's point of view. So it's taught for women by women and attended only by women or women who see or people who see themselves as women.
that's
God bless you.
very politically correct there.
Yeah, because there are people in the fold that are like that.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Well, congratulations. So 130 women, it's sold out and
sold
what
out 10th year in a row, but I had not always been I've been involved from the beginning, but this time it was leadership, it was planning, it was writing the courses, it was getting the keynote speakers, it was putting together the event itself. And last year I had also done a very small event um, mastermind in Norway. So invited women to come and do like a think tank at a cabin there on the fjord, and just to have been building off of that. So as I'm seeing the power of getting like-minded people together and people that have interests or problems that they want to digest in a setting where they can be more vulnerable, it has been key, and that has totally changed the trajectory of how I'm running my business now.
oh, she said brightly,
So
like tell me more.
so now I bring together women that are like-minded and experts within their fields, and we have like think tank sessions live in small group settings, and people can ask these questions, um, from a female perspective and a female point of view on things that they're struggling with, whether it's leaving corporate and wanting to start an online business and become an entrepreneur. And in my case, there has been a buildup of women over the years that don't see retirement any longer in their future. Retirement is not an option. They want to continue working, but working different. And so retirement for them means the next 50 years being on their terms. So that's the program that I started called Second Act Impact. And that is all about what do you do next for the next 50 years? And how do you get there? How do you make that happen?
It sounds like it's going really well.
It is. I'm very enthused. I think, I have the pre-planning and the death perspective, where death is part of life rather than death is the opposite of life, is a very big part of what I do. And I had struggled on being able to share that right out of the gate because I have a comfort level that's okay with it. But majority of people, especially in North America, are not comfortable talking about it. So now it has been, okay, how can I bridge this gap and bring the conversation out into the open quickly? And with the importance of, hey, you can die at home. It's okay to take care of your loved ones in your home. It's all right to do this as a family. There are different ways of approaching this conversation, and then sharing that under that comes to be is that these women that are running their second act or running this next 50 years of their life, all of a sudden are faced with, I only have 50 years left. I'm now on the other side. Rather than ramping up, they're just like, what am I going to do to finish the bucket list, to live the bucket list, to live full out on my terms versus running, all over the world or, globally and trying to set up a corporate agenda, right? This is where a lot of the women that I'm attracting are coming from, the corporate world. And they're just saying, hey, I want to turn this around. I want to make some money. I don't want to touch my investments. I want this money to come from a business that is online because then I can travel remotely. I like writing a course, and that allows me to share my wisdom within a capsule in a way that is through podcasting or through video or through storytelling that will share my knowledge and then leave generational legacy. So it's a lot of words, it's a lot of stuff, but really that's what's happened, Nancy, in this last year has been incredible. It's been such a shift.
Do people join a mastermind, or what do they buy exactly?
So right now they are coming into a private Facebook group invitation. And then from there, I open up retreats. And these retreats have been 8 people and they're high ticket. And I was able to fill one last year. So it's 10,000 a person. And then I go on from there and I'll try and run 2, one this fall and one in the spring, for the next 365 days. So
that sounds very interesting.
And I don't call them masterminds because we're not really talking about any one topic. These are women who have lived a really incredible life and want to share what they've learned and be able to put that wisdom, and I call it capsules because some people it's a course, some people it's talk sessions, some people it's masterminds. But at the end of the day, it's how do you get the message out? It's kind of basic, really. Yeah, it's
well, it makes me think of something I want to show you.
Sure.
As I was just talking to this woman. It's called Women in the Middle podcast with Susie Rosenstein.
And middle as in halfway?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
It's a podcast for midlife women who are ready to hear some good news about being over 50.
Cool.
And she is actively seeking podcast guests who are earning 6 figures, who are over 50, whose current chapter is their best chapter.
Yeah.
That could be you.
Yeah. That would be very cool. And boy, do I have a lot of women that she could interview.
And that's what I'm thinking about, Rosenstein.
Yeah, I would be happy to connect with her.
Yeah, I saw this over the weekend and I decided to apply.
Yeah. How cool.
So I got accepted.
Yeah.
And uh, the whole in the spirit of referrals,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to refer you to her. And she has a really,
That'd be awesome.
how we were talking with Joe the other day about referrals and how they need to be
Yes.
systematic, a live system in your business.
Yes.
And so since that call, I have been activated quite a bit because it seems like everywhere I go, like I'm trying to buy towels for my bathroom and I'm on the company store website and it says, do you know anyone else who wants to benefit from our amazing pricing? If you share the link with them, you'll save 25% more. I'm thinking, oh, they've made it automatic. Then
Yeah.
I apply to be a guest on this podcast, and you have to be a 6-figure woman. You have to be 50 and better. You have to be someone who has contended with any of the kinds of things that women 50 and better contend with, disease, diagnosis, death,
Yeah.
all the divorce, blah, blah, blah. You have to be one of those people. And so you go through the application and you fill out all the goodies. And then she says, who else do you know who meets the criteria?
That's super. Mm-hmm.
And it was all right there. And so I didn't know your income scenario, so I wasn't in a position to make a referral, but now I am.
Yeah.
Because if
Yep.
you retreats at 80 grand, you are.
There you go. I did 80,000 last year. I had tremendous expenses, but I mean the income is there, and I had to regroup on a few things and put stuff where it had to be. I will tell you, between me and you, I do house sitting in order to put the income into the business because I'm single. So as that, I get paid to house sit.
Didn't know you were single. Didn't you have somebody special?
Until a year ago. Yeah. Yeah. So he found somebody else, and I was just like, okay, so here we go. And then we lost 5 family members in the last 4 months. I think one of them was my dad.
Oh, sweet.
So I've been going back and forth to Canada. And there's been a lot going on in my life. And then this whole conference was in just 2 weeks ago. So yeah, there's a lot on the plate.
So
I figured there's
are you on one of those house sitting sites where you can go shopping for opportunities to house sit?
I am.
And when you house sit,
Yes.
they don't pay
Yes.
you. You get to live rent free as long as you take good care of their house, right?
So that is part of it, but I also do paid house sits. So
Tell me
and
about
I do
that.
high income.
Tell me
So I'm in a 8-bedroom mansion on Lake Michigan right now, taking care of 3 cats in a spectacular home. So, and I do that for long term. So it means I try and find 3 months or more. So I have 2 more house sits lined up. So I said, I need 18 months to be able to get my business where I want to be. And I need to sock as much money as I can towards the business so I can hire somebody and get this thing going. So that's what I chose to do. So when my relationship ended, I said, that's it. I'm going to do house sitting. I sold everything. I wiped out my debt and just kept my car, put everything in storage, and said, I'm going to live like a gypsy for 1.5 years. So that's what I'm doing.
Oh my goodness. How okay, so when you do the house sitting, they pay you like a day rate, or what do they? Is it like $50 a day, or?
No, it's triple that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's a fairly sweet gig.
It is. And they do background checks and they make sure I'm bonded and I'm insured. And I've done this for a long time. I've been a house sitter like through college and a nanny and stuff like that. So I have a nice reputation, and I belong to these groups for over 10 years, 2 of them. So I'm known within the community. And then I could reach out and say, instead of waiting for somebody to ask me or looking for a house sit, they come and they're just like, hey, are you available? And I said, well, I only do paid long-term house sits now. And so that gets out, and it's the same thing. It's referral, it's word of mouth. And then people are just like, hey, I have a 6-month house sit coming up. So some of them are far. Like one of the big ones is coming up is in New Zealand. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to go for that long over there. But my mom said she would join me. So now I'm like, I might take my mom with me and do something incredible. So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Wow. Well, ingenious.
Yeah,
Way to make
yeah.
lemons out of lemonade. I'm disappointed.
I had to. I didn't have too many options left, and I said I do not want to go and get a job. I did not want an hourly rate, and I thought if I give up everything, I'd have to go back to six figures. Back into the fashion industry, then I would have to give up everything. And I thought if I put it all on hold, I probably won't go back to it. And I thought that's a pity. So because I feel like it's important, and I want to be, I want to change the industry and let people see that death and dying is not, it's not what we're being taught, that it's a part of life, and there are different ways of embracing it and different ways of exiting the world that can be a family affair and make it not so foreign and not so scary.
Do you know Maureen Cures?
I do not.
Oh, you need to meet her. Maureen Cures is also a Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp graduate.
Okay.
She has a company called Start the Talk. It's called Radiant Morning, Enhancing Life Through Candid Conversations. Startthetalknow.com. If we go there.
Oh yeah, this is super cool.
Does speaking of dying scare you to death? It doesn't have to. 7 prompts to get the conversation started. So she works privately with people who need to start this conversation. She could be an excellent person for you.
Oh, I have some great connections for her as well. Especially people that are, there's something called whole life doulas, which are people that do both birth and death doula work. And I happen to be in the company of the home of one of the.
Well, so she has a whole death doula thing. I'm going to introduce you to her. She's a lovely woman. We're dear friends.
Oh, that's cool.
But I think you need to meet her because she also has a really nice network of well-established connections in this space.
Well, this whole conversation, I'll tell you, I wanted to introduce you to Stu McLaren and to Tanya, one of my good friends that I think would be awesome as a client for you. But Stu McLaren is just somebody that I think that the two of you, he's got the video-based platform called Searchy.io, and he's the one that created the membership called Tribe. And his client is Amy Porterfield, James Wedmore, Jeff Walker. These are people using his system. And he's just an incredible human being, Nancy. Yes. Yep. Well, and I've taken his course. I'm alumni. Like, okay, do I know him as in sit and have lunch with the fellow? No. But I've been in his course from day one since 2019. So.
Well, I'd be delighted to be introduced to him in whatever way you feel that you can.
Yep, I have a nice private access to him, and his wife, Amy Porterfield, or sorry.
That's his wife?
Amy McLaren.
Oh, okay.
Amy McLaren. She is amazing, and the two of them have started schools for girls and for young people in Africa. I think they're up to 14 or 15 schools now. And the work they do is just very heart-centered and it's whole. He's not on the big money agenda.
It sounds like he's kind of a membership site guy.
He is a membership specialist, but he has another software program called Searchy, which is the video-based platform for people that do videos. So it's a way to set up a hub for your clients to go through. So he sets up this client experience through Searchy. His program and his specialty is creating memberships. And he was the partner to Michael, you would know this person too. He had the company called Wix, Michael Hyatt.
Okay, Sergio, right here, case.
Yep.
I see.
Yep. Yep, that's Stu.
Okay.
Yeah. But
And
I just thought the two of you together with what you're doing, and you take these videos in that platform and they convert them into podcasts. I mean, it's just like, he would be the kind of person for you that would be this really cool conversation about how to step up the podcast guesting game or the podcast game.
well, I will do my homework.
Yeah.
When you introduce us,
Yeah.
I will be able to respond and be able to demonstrate
Yeah.
that I've done my homework.
And
Maybe.
I will send him a private email and let him know that I spoke with you and I'd like to get the two of you together. And then that way I can ask him if I can share his private email,
Okay.
and contact information, and then I can send that to you and you guys can reach out to each other.
And Tanya, what is Tanya's
So
story?
Tanya did a little bit of work with me and was just an amazing client. And we just did, she was special. She had been through a lot with other coaches. And I don't know why I did this, but she was like, I just don't know and not sure what to do. And I said, well, then you name your price. How much would you be willing to pay? And whatever that number came out, I had already decided that I would accept whatever she said. So I did. When she became a client at a price that she negotiated and offered. And I said, okay. So she's the kind of person who is very, very connected with a previous life from Capital Records. I want to say media, but I think it was Capitol Records in Hollywood. And she's just this spiritual person who is full of life and magic, and is struggling to get her word out. But the reason why I wanted to put the two of you together is because her connections and the world that she can refer you to is a world that embraces podcasts and podcast guesting. So
Okay. Well, I'd love to be introduced. Do you know if she's coming to the masterclass tomorrow? Are you still?
I don't know if she is or not.
Because that would be, I mean, it is happening tomorrow. And if
Yeah.
it was something that you could, I mean, I realize its time is short, but you could say, I've mentioned Nancy a few times and she's doing a call tomorrow, and you could use your partner link that I've sent to you.
I will definitely do that for her.
Because if I mean, you could even sign her up. I mean, I don't know, that's probably not the right thing to do. Tell her,
yeah, I'll see how it feels. Yeah.
it's tomorrow, and
Yeah.
and I've got a nice crew of people coming, but I think when people see and experience me in a masterclass kind of environment, they'll either say, oh, I really like this gal and I think I can learn from her.
Yeah.
But if it would work out for you to do that, say she's doing this tomorrow.
Yeah, because I was promoting you in my LinkedIn. Yeah, I was promoting you in LinkedIn and in my personal page and where I had the most audience. And it was interesting that the private conversations, people are just like, hey, isn't this the woman that you took your class with? Yes. And they're like, oh my gosh, okay. So they were curious, and they were just like, because I don't promote people that I haven't invested in. And I just promote pretty much you and Stu. And I think there was one other gentleman. Oh, I think it is JV Directory. I think I promote them every once in a while too.
Oh, that's very good. Well, I so appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I think that when you take a high integrity approach to advocating for partners, you get a high integrity result.
Yeah.
And that's really important. And I may not have the biggest business, but I do have really brilliant partners that I love to support, that love to support me back. And it feels really, really good to have that. But I usually invest in the programs that I promote, because it means that the credibility is there. I've used this, I got this result. These are nice people.
I love that. And I know before I forget, because I wanted to say this a couple of times, I know the journey that you've been on has not been easy. And I just want to say that you are in my prayers, and that recovery, I'm so glad, because you look great. I hope that everything is going.
Well, here's the good news.
So
I'm so happy to be able to tell you, just May 27th was my diagnosis anniversary 1 year ago.
Yeah.
And May 27th, I got the results from my most recent mammogram, and they were boring, benign, and unremarkable.
And that's the best.
Yeah,
As it should be.
I'm so grateful. This year of being sick was really confronting. I mean, you've had losses. I mean, profound losses, and
Yeah.
my heart just goes out to you. And I think at this age and stage that we are, which we're probably similar.
I think we are. Yeah, I'm 61 now.
I am 61 also.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
think you're right. I think the age where life starts happening.
and it's so humbling, and it's so confronting. And this whole thing that I went through, I mean, I had 20 rounds of radiation. I had 2 surgeries. I've been to all kinds of doctors. I mean, it's not easy stuff that you do. And
Oh.
and I was tired, and I was fatigued, and I was questioning my resolve, and all these things that you do.
And people forget that there's a whole world called family that's impacted as well. And so you're dealing with all of that, and they're dealing with you.
And it's very hard to do, it's hard to do business as usual. And so for me, I just had to, this was really powerful, is there's the things that are urgent, and there's the things that are important, and then there's the things you do because you're supposed to. Like someone said I should do this or that. Like I remember someone saying you should do a Facebook Live every week, and it should be fresh content every single time. And I felt underneath that was this shame of, oh, repurposing content prepared before, bad. But it was like, you know what? Reframe. This work deserves a much wider audience. Let's make sure more people see it. And I just had to release any shame, blame, or judgment around whatever I was going to do, because I had limited energy to do the things that were urgent or important. Now my energy's back. I feel great. I'm so grateful. And I'm really clear about who it is I want to work with and how it is I want to work with them. And I just feel like, if not for this black cat crossing my path, I don't think I would have gotten that level of clarity.
Well, I can tell you that I am going to go through my roster and my connections, and I am going to tell them about Nancy Jutton and podcast guesting, because it's something that I know that anybody who is super successful online or with their businesses right now is looking or is doing podcasting or podcast guesting. And they're not experts at it. Most of the people I know are corporate like myself, who moved online, who know that this should work, but online is such a different world. And how do you be visible here? And being our age puts us in a different dynamic as well. So I have a wide circle like that.
It's so interesting you bring up the whole age thing, because like, I'm just being your girlfriend here. Like, there's some days that, I mean, I'm not 22. I don't want to be, I'm not a glamour gal. I can doll up pretty nice when I need to, and I will, and I do. But the interesting thing for me is, I mean, this is really personal, but for decades I've been teaching how-to content, how to write a bio, how to write a speaker sheet, how to create a media one sheet, how to. Like, it's almost like on the level of transformation, it feels really not at the level where I want to be having conversations today. Where I want to be having conversations today are about living in the triple E zone and not letting a day go by where I'm not grateful for my life. I want to have bigger conversations, not quite so tactical and practical. And that is a shift for me. And I realized that maybe I was leaving myself on the shelf, even though I'm capable and credible and skilled at teaching how to content. I think that people will be drawn to working with me if they can feel some kind of a kinship with who I really am as a
Yeah.
human being. And this last year, I've just really stepped it up and been that person. And no matter what happens in the shopping cart, I feel like I'm more true to me than I've ever been before. And I like the way that feels, you know?
How it should be. And I think you just named a course and you better go grab it, because I will if you don't. And that is Self on the Shelf. You have
Oh,
got to go and get that domain. I think you've created a course that can be honest and would be a Nancy Jutton trademark. You know, it's just like, and you could go through all the things. That would give you a portal and an opportunity to take this one step further. And
oh,
that's what VIP, that's
you
what
got-
VIP and Mastermind is for me. It's being able to open up the door to say to women, we don't have to just talk shop. Let's talk life. And what does that mean? And then bring that back with a new perspective. And it is about living. You know, I do
oh,
3
look
minutes.
at that. This one is a somebody wants to sell it for $69.99 broker fee.
Then get selfontheshelf.io or .net or .org, but get one of them so that you can have a self on the shelf product
I'm gonna
in the next 6 months.
well,
It would be so perfect for Christmas time, Nancy. It would be like Elf on the Shelf, and you have self on the shelf, and you could play all the words around that. It would be perfect.
I
So cool.
you're giving me something to think about. But I think I've been saying that a lot. I've been saying don't
That
put,
is a perfect course for you. It is so like something that I would expect like Nancy to come out with, Self on the Shelf. Or maybe we turn it around and that's a different way of podcast guesting.
well,
for
see,
the
that's what I want to
ordered.
talk about because
Oh,
there are lots of people that teach how to be a guest on a podcast. And so the direction there are lots of people that teach that, and the people that want to learn it are going to want to learn it from someone with whom they resonate or feel a connection to. And so how I show up in delivering that content is something that I'm going to really work hard to be and do and have, whatever. My next point is
your gift of language. Your gift of language and words and how you use that. And to do something fourth quarter that would be coming in for the Christmas season and you call it Self on the Shelf, I would sign up for it. I will. I'll be your first person to sign up.
well,
and it's like I do all things you. What takes you to be the elf on the shelf? What takes you to go from place to place and follow the journey of that elf and the whole premise of that? That's surprising people and doing things that are unexpected or showing up in places that are unexpected. And I would play that whole story under self.
showing up in unexpected places. So here's what's heading, what I'm excited about, and I'm just going to get real practical for a second. I've been teaching the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp since March of 2020, and I've had over 100 people go through it and made some wonderful friends, and clients have had good success, and I feel really good about that. The last 2 times I tried different things where people could bring an assistant along. Sometimes it was you could bring the assistant for free, blah, blah, blah. But this last time I had this very high level group of people come in, and one guy, he's a fairly successful guy, not attentive to detail at all. And he says, I'm not going to do some of that. I said, then you need to bring an assistant. And so he hired his niece to come in with him to do the parts of it that he wouldn't do, like doing the social media posts and doing the research and listening to make sure the podcast was right for him and that sort of thing. Well, together they booked 19 shows in 12 weeks. And some of them were top podcasts in his niche. So that was a really good outcome. And so then this assistant became very popular among the other students in the course because they came in and they said, well, are you available to do that for me? Are you available to do that for me? And so what I'm doing now is I'm appealing to both top performers and assistants. So if you're an independent virtual assistant and you're looking for a new skill set to learn that you could ultimately monetize by taking people on retainer to book on shows consistently year in, year out, you can come into my training and I'll teach you in 12 weeks how to do it. If you're an independent service professional, you can come in by yourself and learn how to do it. If you're an independent professional and you have a marketing assistant who's 100% green, they can come in too. It's a $500 charge for the assistant. But you will get into this ecosystem, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. And when 12 weeks are up, everyone who is an independent service provider is going to want to hire the independent VAs that came in that got trained. So I'm going to create this marketplace where people will match.
That is so brilliant. That is brilliant.
Thank you. I'm very excited about it. And so
Keep me in mind, because I would love to be able to have somebody that will help take some of this work off my plate.
so the thing is that I was just talking to another mover and shaker a few minutes ago who she has millions of dollars. She just wanted me to help her to do blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, then just hire somebody, because I wrote this position description. I wrote this position description that I was giving away. And I said, hire someone who can do this, who's totally green, and invest in her to take my training. Because when 12 weeks are up, your person is going to be trained in a world-class way and will be able to advocate for you and your clients, and you won't have had to spend any time at all doing any of it. She's going to learn, and she's going to then. So I don't know all the ins and outs and how it's going to monetize and all that, but I can pretty much tell you that if Mary matches with Bill and Mary's going to get $1,000 a month, she's going to probably feel okay paying me 10% of whatever she got, because she wouldn't have had, like, that's what I'm dreaming of. So
yeah, run it like an agency. Oh, there's somebody you should look up. I can make an introduction for you there too. Erin Fletcher. Excuse me. Erin Fletcher just came out with a full program on almost exactly this, in the sense that how do you put your message into one page, and take that one page and have a map, and with that map create an agency, and that agency takes people through the path using his software, his
is the Fletcher method?
It is the Fletcher method, but it's called something core. There's a
Online
core.
marketing consultant, educator, speaker, nationally published author.
That's kind of like his cover. but when you get to know him, he is a tech whiz. And what he's done is he's got one-stop shop where the funnel is there, landing page is there, the website is there, and it's populated by what you put up front that you describe about your avatar, the path they're on, where they're at, where you're going to take them to. And he has ways of you to populate all this information. The reason why I'm telling you this is because people that are interested in doing what you're doing eventually will go into doing an agency. And you don't want to fool around with that. You want to go into end software, funnels, and everything else. So you're not going through integrations, you're not having to move lists around and all that crap that happens.
Yeah,
and Erin Fletcher
that's not for
he's
me.
amazing. He is amazing. And he just invited me into his core program. And I thought, oh my gosh, seriously, I'm going to start doing this now. He says, Paulette, this is an automated process. So he says, you populate the fields. I'm going to ask you the right questions, and we're going to take that information, and then it populates his process. And his process is automated. So it spits out your landing page, your deliverables. And he suggests, oh, you're telling them you're going to give them a checklist. But he says, but what they really want is a PDF. And it's like his software determines, based on how you fill it out about your avatar, your program, and everything else, it spits out what you should be doing according to the market.
I will look him up and study up on him.
Yeah.
The whole agency for me.
And he has it done for you version also, Nancy. I think it's $6,800, and he will do it for you. You have to populate the information. I chose to go one step down and thought, oh, I'll just populate this myself, because the funnels and everything that exist, he puts me through it, but I'm doing more of the grunt work. But he also has, which I think is a steal, for 6,800, you can step in and he'll do it for you with his team.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to take that on today since my call is
Yeah.
tomorrow and I've still have some preparation.
No,
to
it's just something to think about. And if you want more info, I can definitely let you know. But that's kind of what's happened to me, because I'm at the point where I'm like, well, if I hire somebody, how do I simplify this? And if I'm going to duplicate it, how do I show somebody else how to do what I'm doing? And if I'm going to do that, then what can I do to work with somebody who's vertical and off of social media? That was a big thing for me. While I bring people in and get known on social media, not where my base off of social media. And that's what he does.
Oh, I see. Well, very, very good. Now, I would be remiss if I did not
Yeah.
say, ask you, you were able to attend the Joe Paulo event.
Yes.
And I
Loved it. It had a huge impact on me. Referrals is something I believe in, by the way, and always have. But it's been very hard to find leadership that understood referrals. And he spoke in a way that's like, holy cow. Not only did I learn how to ask for the referral, but I thought I had been in sales and design for most of my adult life. And he had such a refreshing and unique approach to it, which was basic and doable. And I'm exercising it, and I can't say enough about how not being afraid to share who you know with others, or even people that you're acquainted with, and getting people out there. I don't know. I think good comes back tenfold. And for me, referrals is a good link to help for anybody. So yeah, really, really appreciated you having sent that invitation, because it was awesome.
how was it getting to meet some of the other graduates at the top of the call? Was
I met some great people that I'm still in contact with, and some that were like, we want to interview each other. I was interviewed twice by other people. People reached out and were just like, I love the work that you do. So there was some really cool accolades and affirmations that came on thoughts that I had by breaking out into those sessions with other people.
stand out as a good contact for you?
Oh, there was, I would say, because there's four people that I'm still talking to that I can't remember how to pronounce the gentleman's name. Nivel. Sorry, it's a Middle Eastern name. I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he and I had some incredible conversations, and are still talking about how we can approach and help people on the business front and get that going. So yeah, but there's definitely relationships that have started out of that session with Joe.
Has what I'm just going back here to the share screen and coming back here, and I'm going over here and I'm going over here. Facebook.
Well, let me see if I have them here.
I just wanted to point out alumni, the alumni group. We have an alumni group on Facebook, and I'm just coming back here to make sure that you can see it. These are
let me tell you, there's a couple names.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing names. It was, I hope I'm saying this right. Nitsan Geibel is the gentleman I was just talking about. Daniel Hoffman, Lana Wolf.
That must have been someone else, because those people aren't in my group.
They're not in your group now, but they're people that were on that call that saw me, that were on that.
Lauren?
Lauren Moore. Lana Wolf. Nitsan Gable, Daniel Hoffman. Those were the three that came out of there.
Was it Debbie Hoffman?
Mm-mm.
Is that okay, that's interesting, because those are names these are the names of people who are in the group, and those people aren't names that I'm not familiar with.
Oh, because they were just like, I saw you in there. I mean, that was the last place that I've been.
Well, anyway, that's okay.
I don't see their names there at all. Wait, hang on a second.
I wonder if you can have me a little bit confused with somebody else, because that if it was one name, I would say, oh, no big deal.
Scroll down. Let me see. Like, okay, Christina Hills, Brett and Steve, Renee, Jane, Bonnie.
Are you connected to Jane? Because she's in the death world too.
I am. Yes, I've talked to her. Mm-hmm.
Because you could
Ellen
probably,
Finkelstein, I like her too.
she's lovely. I love her.
Yes, I think she's awesome.
So my question,
I don't reckon. I mean, I recognize all these names, but that's not who I was.
yeah, I think there might have been.
That I'm talking about.
Well, the next question is, I mean, here we are having this phone conversation where you're offering referrals to me and I'm offering referrals to you. So that's something that we're both putting into practice. And so I just want to make sure that whatever you learned from Joe, that's another really cool way to make it easy for people. If we go to my blog, one of the things that I asked people to do is, would you be willing to share this blog post with people who could benefit from the whole referral conversation? Because what I did is I edited the call so that all we have is when I came on board and I shared the shift in my direction, I introduced Joe. But if you go to this blog post, the referral recap pops right up.
Okay.
And then if you click on the link to the YouTube, you can.
Okay, I'll go into my email and I'll look for this because I'm sure you would have sent it.
You can.
The promise of the broadcast
see here. So what I'll do is I will find it right here. Gosh, I'm just all over the place here. Referral training. Go back. This is the blog post. If you felt inspired, I'm just going to post this in the chat. Paste. There you go. If you were to say to people, I attended this really powerful referral training that was so meaningful that I wanted to share it with you to benefit, I hope you'll check this out, because almost 70 people have watched it and only 20 people were live on the call. So we've almost quadrupled the number of viewers. And what I loved about the call, and I'm being very transparent here, is I kicked off the call with, I'm making a pivot in my business to serve both high-level people and their assistants. And this is why this matters to me. Here's Joe to tell you more about referral marketing. And then he put into practice, well, tell me, what did you learn? What did you like best about having Nancy as your guide or teacher? And people said all these nice things. And then he said, well, do you know at least 3 people?
I remember that. I remember typing.
And he said, do you know at least 3 people at your level or above who could benefit from those things?
Yes.
And won't you please make introductions? And it was just such a beautiful case study of the kind of community I build, the way, I mean, people said nice things, and people today have a choice about who they're going to do business with. And my fondest hope is that lots of people would see this, because I can say that I'm genuine and that I'm committed to building community and that I go the extra mile. I can say all these things, but these clients actually said those things.
Yeah.
And it was a way to weave in the whole integration of what he was teaching. And I thought it was just so magical. So that's my request, you know, if you'd be willing to.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. That was a very powerful session that he gave, and the information was, I would hope that other people understood the importance of referrals and what that can do to change a person's business and what it can do to change a person's life.
Yeah.
You know, referrals is not just about shop talk. Referrals is also, do you know a good doctor? Do you know a good teacher? Do you know a good babysitter? That's natural referrals. But then if you take it a step further, it's like, you know, I know somebody that could be a great guest for you, or that could be somebody that might help you move your business along or whatever.
So this makes me think of a funny story, because one of my very dearest friends, who was also a client for a very long time, her name is Dr. Susan O'Malley, and she was a cosmetic doctor. She turns back the hands of time with needles and not knives, so that you can maintain your youthful appearance even though you're older now. And so she's held many a face in her hand and lovingly tightened and firmed and moisturized to create a great show. She is not a fan of plastic surgery, but she does do injections and other less invasive things.
Yeah.
She did a TED Talk, and she talked about the judgment we apply to people who have had cosmetic surgery.
Yeah.
And the thing that she said was, you know, if somebody drives by your front yard and says, "Oh my gosh, your garden looks great, your lawn looks like a golf course, who's your yard guy? Can I please have a referral?" You're really happy to say, "Well, I use Julio over here and he does a great job and he's been on the team for, you know, this many years, give him a jingle." But if someone says to you, "Paulette, you look so fresh and amazing. You look like you've just been on spa vacation. What's your secret to looking so good at your age?" And if you say green juice and yoga and, you know, good nutrition, but what really is the reason is that you had a face job or, you know, neck, you know, people are so,
Yep.
people won't offer those kinds of referrals because they want you to think
You're right.
that it was just good genes that made it possible for them to look so good at any age. And that was her whole point, is like, quit the judgment, like make the frickin' referral.
No kidding, right? That is so true. Holy cow. You have the best. I could listen to you forever. I love your stories.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Well, it's really, really so good of you to make time for me. And
Yeah. Well, let me get to work and I'm going to get those introductions going and make sure that these referrals come through, because I think for both ends, you and these people, that this would be an awesome connection.
and I'm going to introduce you to Maureen, who I think is going to be a great intro. You can tap into her network,
Okay.
because her people,
Oh, that sounds awesome.
the death doula conversation is something, she's part of a whole death doula association. There may be all kinds of things y'all can co-create.
Yeah, and I have lots of connections for her of people that I would connect that are in that as their way of life as well. And
Very good.
yeah, so I think she would appreciate it. And they're pretty high up in the death doula world. So I'm sure she would know some of them.
Oh, good. Well, I'm going to make that happen. And then I'm really interested to hear how the rest of your thing unfolds with these high-end retreats, because I just want to, I want to compliment you on finding a lane and getting excited to, I mean,
And well, my lane was people that knew me for 27 years in the fashion industry. So that's where I started. Now the hard part is, how do I repeat that with strangers? Right? How do I go to the next level and try and, because first it was a little bit easy because there were people that I knew that I reached out to and said, "I'm going to do this. Let's get together." And there was like, yes.
okay.
Now I'm going to be starting with strangers and going from.
Oh, that's the other referral. I'm making 2 referrals. I'm also going to refer you to Susie Rosenstein, who has her website, her podcast, Women in the Middle.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But I'm just going to say podcasts. I want to just see. Just bear with me for a second. Podcasts about midlife women working beyond retirement age.
Yeah.
Look at that. It came right up. Women in the Middle, loving life after 50. 20 podcasts for women over 50 that you'll love. 50 best midlife podcasts you must follow.
Oh, this is super.
And so
send me a copy of this Zoom, because there's some really great.
Because to answer your question, what can you do now that you have an audience that you want to talk to and you know what you want to talk to them about?
Yeah.
You can revisit your Media One sheet or your Podmatch profile, or wherever you happen to be functioning, and change the topics and change the keywords to be relevant to that.
Yes.
And if you do 1 podcast guest spot a week, 1 a week on the right show, you're going to be talking to people that you don't know, that don't know you. and you
I
can
know.
lasso those listeners back into your ecosystem.
One of
And
the biggest things you said that I have never forgotten was doing 2 podcasts a week could net you a 6-figure income. And it was about being consistent and getting out there. And the biggest growth I saw in my email list and in my group was when I was doing 2 a week. And then when I had a bunch of family stuff and I kind of fell off, I was just like, oh, I didn't fall off of being live, but I fell off of doing podcast guesting. And it was by far the most impactful thing ever that I've done. So it's back on track. And I just before I met you this evening, that was a podcast interview that I had with
okay,
somebody.
so Paulette,
Yes.
if it turns out that you decide you'd like to come back for the next cohort, I have special rates for graduates to come back. And you just might find it worthwhile to come.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, because you already, we have someone joining us here, Beat Mueller. I don't know who that
Mueller
is.
entered the waiting room. You'd have to admit him. So
I'm not going to admit him, but I don't know who he is. So don't report. So he's out. If you want to come back, you can come back for $1,000 for 12.
really?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Hmm.
Here's the cool thing. You already know what to do, but being in the group, you're going to be held accountable to actually do it.
I know the momentum's so much better.
And the spirit of competition that you feel every week, people report, well, I did this, I just booked myself on 3, I booked myself on 2. I mean, you know what happened with Joe? This was his first pass through, but Joe was kind of a mouse leading into this because it was also new to him. And when so-and-so and so-and-so started reporting, well, I've gotten 7 bookings, and he started to get mad because he says, why are they getting bookings and I'm not? And so then he went from a mouse to a lion and ended up with 19. But it was just the spirit of accountability and competition that's alive in the group is real, and it's fun. And if you want to come back, $1,000, you can come. And now that you have this message dialed in,
I love it.
I'm going to be
I love it. I think I'm going to do that. There's a couple other people I want to talk to too and say, hey, you know what? We should go in and do this. I'm going to talk to Vicky. I don't know if Vicky is back in. Vicky Dell'Olio.
Yes, she's in it because she's also in. I love her. I have another program that I'll tell you about. It's the Inner Circle of Awesomeness, and Vicky, Patty Buccellato, Tim Wade, and Diana Needham and I comprise the membership right now. And I will send you a link to tell you all about it, but it's by invitation only. Okay. Something you'd like to consider. If you're in that program, and don't laugh and don't scoff and don't. I want to just tell you what it's about. Sometimes the people I meet in the course I love so much that I want to stay in relationship with them. Yeah. And if we don't have a way to keep us together, I know that the relationships will fizzle because people will get involved in other things. So I thought, why don't I just create something like exactly what I want? And I called it. You just
naturally created your VIP group.
And so while the tuition for it, as stated on the website, is $1,000 a month, I don't charge that for the people that come in. I charge $2,000 for 6 months. And you can do a payment plan of $1,000 for the first 3 months and $1,000 for the second 3 months, and you can stay as long as you like. But it's a beautiful exchange of awesome energy between people that we're all creating in the current group. We're all creating $250,000 or greater lifestyle businesses that allow us to enjoy our life and our work. Yeah. So I'll send you the write-up about it. But if you're in any of my programs, you can, if you're in the Inner Circle, you can be bonused the Broadcast Your Brilliance Boot Camp and show up for all those calls too. Cool. If you do private mentoring with me, you're bonused the group, so you have additional touch points. Yeah. I just like to keep the cool people in the cool kids club. It's essentially what that's all about.
I love it. I will definitely read it. And it's just like, this is kind of perfect timing because I feel a little bit alone. And I feel like I've gone a different path. A lot of people have stopped the business or like you said, they're in different groups and you kind of lose momentum with them. And it's not like your neighbors, you know, your virtual people.
Well, and what's been really neat about this inner circle of awesome is sometimes we talk about practical, tactical things, but sometimes we talk about real life. And last week, I actually brought myself to the call and said, I had a conflict with someone and I'm really upset about what I might have done to create the conflict. And I would really like some help from the group about how I can go about resolving this. Can y'all help me out? And it was so helpful to have a council of people to give me really good advice. And it turned out that everything got worked out beautifully, but it would, when I sit alone in my room trying to figure out how to do this stuff, I perseverate and make myself crazy. And this
I agree.
such a wonderful, it's such a wonderful group of lovely, lovely people. I would love to have you among us. And the bonus of the training, it would come at a perfect time.
That sounds so, it does. It sounds so perfect. It sounds like I'll take a look at it, I'll read it, and it would be so fun to just have the friends back in my life that are on a similar journey, because it makes it feel like, okay, I'm not alone. There are other people who are going through this.
Well, and here's what I'm going to do. Nancy's, I spent a lot of time writing this because you know how I am. I really care about Nancy's inner circle of awesomeness. Here it is. Nancy Jutton's inner circle of awesomeness. Here it is. And the reason I'm telling you that the tuition is noted, whatever it is on the sales page, that's not the tuition. That's
okay.
The tuition is, it's $1,000 for 3 months. And then another payment of $1,000 for 3 months. And you can stay as long as you like and as long as it serves you. But there's the description. I wrote this with so much love. Aww. To create what it is that I really wanted. And when I invited people to join and they said yes, I felt like it was a great blessing to me, because it isn't just about, it's really about the friendships and the support we're providing each other with a dose of how to and practical woven in, but not in the opposite weight.
Yep. I hear you.
So check that out, and then I'll send you a personal note with more details so you can consider it. But in the meantime, I'm going to introduce you to Susie and Maureen, and you're going to introduce me to Erin, Stu,
Erin, Amy, Amy McLaren, and Hannah Marshall.
So. I so appreciate you being willing to invest the time, and how ingenious of you to get this like paid house sitting gig. Yeah.
That was called What Can I Do That Will Pull Me Through and Give Me the Cash Flow, essentially, is what I needed.
Wow. So ingenious. So smart.
And the people I've met, I cannot tell you. It's kind of funny because I put my foot down and I said, I'm not doing small house sits. I'm not doing messy houses, dirty houses. I'm going to do the upscale only. And it's just like, all of a sudden it went from, how am I going to find these people, to having to say, no, I'm booked. I've got my stuff. So like I said, I'm negotiating I have 1 year. So I have 6 months into this. And now I have 1 or 2 house sits left to be able to hit my end of the 18 months. And that total time gives me time to build a tiny house, which takes 14 months, and find the land, and then put my money, my cash flow towards my business. So I don't know if I'll be able to do the tiny house at the same time. It might be too much too soon, but the time that it has given me to step back and not worry about taking care of a house and have the cash flow go directly into the business allows me to sit here and consider, I could do 1,000 a quarter and come into a tight group like this that will help me get through some of the hard stuff so I can get my freaking business going. But that's, I couldn't think of any other way, and I didn't want to will get a job.
Well, I applaud your ingenuity.
So
I think
that
it's
was the
brilliant.
the
And,
big
you know,
push.
being a responsible adult um
Yeah,
has some advantages, because if you
it does.
have a lovely home, you sure as heck don't want some partying college student hanging out.
Well, and that's when I show up or people approach me and they're like, okay, you look totally overqualified. And I said, I am. And I said, here's my situation. And I have a business and I'll be working remotely from your home. And they've been like, I go in and typically they, you know, it's like, I want you to come back, or when can you do more? Can you go longer? And then they become friendships. And then a lot of these people are like myself. They're well educated. They are at a point in their life where they're trying to do something different. They want to share their wisdom. A lot of them are professors and teachers.
Right.
And they come from a high level in corporate, and they're just saying, I just want to do something totally different. And I like to travel. So then they go away, but they've got their home. And that's I cannot tell you the people that I've met and the connections that have occurred and the referrals that have happened because of house sitting. You know, it's like I have a whole new respect for the industry, I'll tell you that.
I think it's genius.
Yeah.
And so now that we've been talking about referrals, like just make them systematic, and like make them every day in your life in every way. Like
Right.
all these well-to-do people who have beautiful homes, they have friends.
They do. And that's exactly what's happening. And they have places in New Zealand and Portugal. And if I stick to people that are in the online space, Portugal, Spain,
You have to pay your
Florida.
you have to pay
I
your
pay for my ticket, but I don't pay for anything else. The fridge is full. I have a bedroom. I have typically these people have small apartments inside of their homes, and that's where I prefer to stay because these homes are huge. And like I said, the opportunity to go to New Zealand for 6 months. You know, all I'm doing is paying for my airfare over there. It's like, how else could you do it?
Wow, I think that's so good. Wow,
Yeah.
that really makes me think.
I know, right?
Well then, thank you.
Couples are sought after. Single people, it's much harder to find jobs, but couples they love because they feel like somebody's coming in and understands what it is to own a home.
Wow,
So,
that's so cool.
but
Well then, thank you
yeah,
for sharing with me today, and
you're welcome.
I'm gonna follow up with you.
I'm glad you did this. I'm so glad we got to catch up.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. Well, I hope I'll see you tomorrow for the master class too. I'm gonna try to bring.
I'll be there. You bet.
All right. Thank you. Good night. And this is a recording for both of us, so enjoy it if you decide to listen again. Okay. Bye.
Oh yeah. So send me the recording when you get a chance.
I will. Okay. Thank you. Bye.